MSNBC.com, a news site as smart as your phone. Fast and easy to use. It's the best place to get the latest news and videos. Your smartphone was made for MSNBC.com.
Opening up behind closed doors a week after resigning as head of the CIA over an extramarital affair, David Petraeus heads to both sides of Capitol Hill this morning for hearings on what happened in the lead-up and aftermath of the September attack that killed 4 Americans in Libya. Meanwhile, at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, President Obama gets ready to sit down with congressional leaders from both parties to try and figure out the fiscal cliff. Is Speaker Boehner ready to make a deal anytime soon? Plus, major news for big business. The Justice Department hits BP with the biggest criminal penalty ever assessed on a corporation for the 2010 Gulf oil spill. And so much for the idea that Twinkies last forever. Bankruptcy breaks a big-time baker. Good morning from Washington. It's Friday, November 16th, 2012. This is the Daily Rundown. I'm Luke Russert, in for Chuck Todd, who hasn't worked hard enough at all this entire election campaign. He's now going to Asia to cover the president's trip. So you have me. Moments from now, behind closed doors, former CIA Director David Petraeus will testify on the Benghazi attacks before the Senate Intelligence Committee. He just wrapped up testifying on the House side. Petraeus' questioning comes as he now finds himself under investigation by the agency he once led. Acting Director Michael Morrell has ordered the CIA's Inspector General to investigate whether Petraeus used agency resources, including security details, private jets, and special accommodations to facilitate his affair with biographer Paula Broadwell. Officials say the CIA has been told by the FBI that there is no indication Petraeus misused classified material, but the investigation is open-ended. Today's hearing will not focus on that investigation, however. Instead, lawmakers will question Petraeus about the September 11th attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi.
Director Petraeus went to Tripoli. He interviewed many of the people, as I understand it, that were involved. And so the opportunity to get his views, I think, is very important. The purpose of this hearing is Benghazi. We're not going into the FBI investigation or the Inspector General or anything else. This is Benghazi.
On Thursday, in a briefing which stretched more than 3.5 hours, intelligence officials showed lawmakers real-time film of the attack for the first time.
The film is a composite from a number of sources. It is real-time. It does begin from before the incident started, and it goes through the incident and the exodus.
And Attorney General Eric Holder is defending the FBI publicly for the first time, as some lawmakers say the agency was too slow to inform them and the president of the Petraeus investigation.
We follow the facts. We do not share outside the Justice Department, outside the FBI, the facts of ongoing investigations. We made the determination as we were going through the matter that there was not a threat to national security.
Joining me now, NBC's Capitol Hill correspondent Kelly O'Donnell. And Kelly, a lot of moving parts on Capitol Hill this morning. What questions are lawmakers interested in putting to Petraeus? Any new information out of the House hearing? Obviously, it's all classified. But what do we know?
Well, Luke, the classified part of it makes it difficult, but what lawmakers are able to talk about is sort of the nature of what they wanted to find out. We've just moments ago seen some of the Senate members making their way to the hearing for the second part of Petraeus' day. And a lot of what we've heard is wanting to know about the timeline. What was happening? What was the understanding of then Director of the CIA, Petraeus, about what caused this attack? What happened with the spontaneous demonstration sort of storyline that was first put out, and why was that ever developed when we understand that fairly quickly there was some indication and evidence that it was a more organized, more sophisticated terrorist attack? What we heard from some members is they sort of saw the attack unfolding in two parts, with an initial assault and then a more sophisticated attack.
And I believe we're going to dip in right now to House Homeland Security Chairman Peter King, who's talking about the intel briefing. Let's listen in.
And it was not a terrorist attack. And I pointed out the following week when Matt Olson said it was a terrorist attack, it made headlines. Because until then, the administration was saying it was not terrorist. Again, it was very cordial, if you will. General Petraeus is an outstanding patriot. We shook hands before and afterwards. We all thanked him for his service. But he was, I think, has a different impression of the impression that he left on September 14th.
Mr. Chairman, can you tell us whether or not his affair or the security issues surrounding his affair came up at all?
Only in answer to one question where he was asked at the start, did that have any impact on his testimony? He said no.
How are the talking points different?
The original talking points were much more specific about Al-Qaeda involvement. And yet the final ones just said indications of extremists. It said indicate, even though it was clearly evidence of the CIA that there was Al-Qaeda involvement.
Did you get any idea why he was changed?
They just said it goes through a long process, an interagency process. And when they come back, that have been taken out.
Did he seem concerned that things have been changed? Was that surprising to him?
He seemed to say at the time they didn't realize the full significance of that, and that for an unclassified statement, this was acceptable. Again, that's still very vague.
Was Petraeus under oath?
No, there was no oath given, no.
Mr. King, did he allay any of your concerns? Are you satisfied with the presentation he made today?
I'm satisfied with the ultimate conclusion he reached. I told him that I honestly disagreed with his recollection of what he told us on September 14th.
Chairman, what did he say about the affair with Paula Broadwell?
No, there was no comments, not at all.
Did that make it hard? Did that make it hard, though, to get past that because those salacious details have dominated the news here? Did that make it hard to get down to brass tacks in this?
No. That was made clear at the start. That would not be a focus of the questioning, and I would say 10 seconds into it, that was off to the side.
The reason why you all wanted to hear from him is because since he briefed you the first and only time, he went to Libya. So he obviously was giving you a bit of a trip report.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tell us that he clearly learned from actually being on the ground?
No, that would all be classified. Other than the fact that they now clearly believe did not arise out of a demonstration, it was not spontaneous, and there was clear terrorist involvement.
He said that straight up.
Yes.
Chairman, who do you still want to hear from on this next right away?
This is ongoing. I mean, this is still could be obviously the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and also people at the White House to see if anyone at the White House changed the talking points.
Do you think you need to hear from him again on this, and then also on the matter?
We'll have to see. One day at a time.
Are you saying he still couldn't provide any explanation, though, as to why it took him so long to come to that conclusion?
He was saying
today there was no explanation.
No. He was saying there were many streams of intelligence, but he also stated that he thought all along, he made it clear that there was significant terrorist involvement. And that is not my recollection of what he told us on September 14th.
And Kelly, it's some interesting comments there from Peter King saying that David Petraeus left a different impression this time around than he did on September 14th.
Luke, we thought we were going to get more clarity, and in just those initial comments, it seems there will be new questions. Is there a difference in perception about what David Petraeus, when he originally briefed lawmakers in the days right after the attack, and what he is saying now? Also, a key question that certainly Republicans will be talking about: did the White House change the talking points? And the talking points is a reference to what Susan Rice said on a round of morning talk shows just a few days after the attack that sort of cemented this idea in the initial days that this spontaneous demonstration that officials now say did not exist was a reason for what took place. And Susan Rice at the time also said the intelligence was not fully processed. What we've heard from Democrats is this idea that there were sort of two waves of an attack, and that sort of supports what they think that Susan Rice in the White House was talking about in those first 2 weeks. So we heard a bit more of this morning on Morning Joe with our friends there, and Saxby Chambliss, who is the Republican on the Senate side in charge of the intelligence community. Here's what he talked about with respect to, were the talking points given to Susan Rice based on classified information, unclassified information, or was there some political overlap?
We spent an awful lot of time on these talking points. One thing I can tell you is it'll be a long time before unclassified talking points are put out by the intelligence community. That probably was a mistake, but Susan Rice was sent to give a White House message. It was not an intelligence community message.
And so as we hear more through the day, Luke, about what Petraeus has said, if more lawmakers give us their impressions, it'll be key to see, was there a discrepancy in what he said then, a misperception? That seems to be what the story of the day will be from Petraeus' testimony so far. Luke?
Fascinating, fascinating stuff, Kelly. You're going to have fun paying attention to where this one weaves and all along. Take it easy.
Thanks, Luke.